We are officially halfway through the month of August and 23 days away from Washington's season opener, home opener, where we host the New York Giants at Northwest Stadium on September 7th. And we still have no resolution to the Terry McLaurin situation about his contract here in DC. And the offensive coordinator, he's getting tired of it because he sees how desperately that wide receiver room needs him. I don't know about y'all, but based on Kliff Kingsbury's demeanor at the podium today, it feels like he thinks 17 needs to show his ass up to practice. Let's talk about it. What it do? What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Ramblin' with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about our Washington Commanders. It is Friday, August 15th, and we are 3 days away from Washington's preseason game number 2. Dare we call it the dress rehearsal of preseasons past, where the starters are going to get their closest to game reps we're going to see until September 7th, NFL kickoff week. So they had a padded practice, a very spirited, padded practice. And for a lot of fans that were panicking after the burgundy and gold scrimmage, the offense went out and had themselves a day today. As you can see on screen, Straw Hat Clifford Kingsbury is not playing any games on today. He was at the podium, and he had a lot to say about the Terry McLaurin situation, the current state of the wide receiver room, Jaden Daniels and his ability to digest information, said he had a photographic memory. But let's start with the Terry and wide receiver room conversations. On Terry specifically, he said there has not been a ton of contact with him. He's been here, but working with the trainers. Until he gets back on the grass, that's when we'll start building that back up. And he makes the point of being on the grass is where you build and gel and form chemistry. And he talked about the chemistry he built with Jaden throughout the season, but he's pretty much saying, yes, you're at the team meetings, you're around on campus, but with 3 weeks to go before the season starts, we need to figure something out. He spoke on specifically not having Terry and Noah at practice right now. Some guys are taking advantage of the opportunities, and some guys are not. The competition has been good, but there's been a lot to show there's going to be a lot left to show over the next couple weeks. What he is saying, without coming out and saying it, is you Bamas is not living up to any type of NXL expectations or the standard. You're going to keep hearing there's a standard now in DC, and the standard is the standard without our two boundary wide receiver threats. Kliff used the words, our top 2 outside wide receivers on this team when referencing Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown. So you know the top 3 wide receiver trio that you're going to see most of the time is some combination of Terry, Debo, and Noah Brown. Those are the guys he depends on. Those are the guys that he needs out there on September 7th when the Giants come to town. That's a very good defense, at least up front. The secondary is solid on the back end. The corners don't scare me, but that defensive line is atrocious, and Abdul Carter looks like everything we thought he was going to be in this league so far. But Kliff, he keeps talking about the work in progress that the offense has been, because they pretty much asked him, what were your thoughts on some of the shortcomings of the offense so far, not only in preseason, but in training camp practices? He said, I think that there's a work in progress. There's no doubt. I don't think until we get some of these other pieces back, we're going to know exactly what we are, which is obvious. When you don't have your projected top 2 outside receivers or both of your projected inside pieces at guard, it's not going to give you a chance to gel or really build that relationship until you get everybody else on the grass. He says on the grass like 7 times in this press conference. So what he's saying is, Brandon Coleman, we need to see you on the football field at some point. Sam Cosmi, you are excused from this conversation. often injured Noah Brown. We need to see you on the football field. I don't need to see you in a preseason game, but you get 8 to 10 regular season games out of Noah Brown each year. We need your ass out there when the season starts because Jaden's looking for you early and often, and he has trust in you. Come on, you made the biggest play of the year for us last year. And what it sounds like to me is Kliff wants Terry's ass at practice. And not just there watching practice. His tone and his demeanor at the podium said, listen, brother, you're still under contract. And for this thing to work, we need you in the building. And we got a couple weeks left. You got to get up to speed. You got to get out here and running. It's mental reps are not the same as physical reps. Y'all been watching Hard Knocks? Episode 2 of Hard Knocks just came on Tuesday night. And James Cook, it showed the process of the hold-in. And when players are holding in, they are still attending team meetings and working out with trainers, and they're there, but they're not really there. It's the more convenient and decorum way of holding out for a contract. And as you can see, the Bills got an extension done with James Cook this week. So now it's down to Terry McLaurin in D.C., Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, Micah Parsons in Dallas, and Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh as far as the guys left that are trying to get their contract situations handled before the season starts. Kliff wants his guys out there. Kliff is sitting here like, y'all are really judging my offense with KJ the Friendly Ghost Osborne, Michael Gallup, and Luke McCaffrey, and Chris Moore, and rookie Ja'Cory Brooks. Ja'Cory Brooks had a good practice today, caught a couple nice passes from Jaden Daniels, and so did Jalen Lane. And so did Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, the ageless wonder, they're calling him in Ashburn. Great practice today. Debo, they're finally starting to get in full Debo bag where they're giving him the Screensbury packages. They're using him in the backfield. They're starting to get to all that, but he's kind of had to cosplay a typical boundary receiver, vertical threat guy since he's gotten here so far. So Kliff has had to dig very deep in his bag to get to that point so far. And where we stand in the Terry McLaurin cha-cha-cha conversation is that both sides are completely dug in, but we're finding out a lot more about Adam Peters over the days. There was a Charles Robinson interview that I'm going to pull up on screen. We're going to listen to a little bit of that. And Jason Lockenfura was on the Team 980 talking with our guy, friend of the show, Linnell Willingham, yesterday. And he had some interesting comments about Adam Peters. It kind of fell in line with what Charles Robinson was saying about Peters. And he said, Adam Peters comes from a culture. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. He said Adam Peters comes from a culture in San Francisco where they would say Adam Peters, John Lynch, Prague Marath, they don't have the best bedside manner when it comes to contract negotiations. They aren't looking for sweetheart deals. They aren't looking to make guys feel like they are above the constructs of the team. They are all about winning. And are you stuck in and dug in to the program? And they've made every guy in San Francisco sweat it out to get their bag. It happened with Bosa. It happened with Trent Williams, and those are two of the best guys, top couple guys at their position in the league. So they've done this. This is not Adam Peters' first rodeo, and the team did the same thing with Brandon Ayuk last summer. This is the culture he's from. So the side that's going to have to bend and show more of a compromise is going to have to be the player and his agent. That's what we're hearing. So there was this Charles Robinson interview where he was speaking about the top tier mafioso type of negotiator that
I think if it can get to
let's hear some of that.
I think if it can get to $27 million to $28 million in annual average value, if you're getting 50 to, somewhere between 50 and $60 million in guaranteed money, I don't think either side will be happy. But I think it is the middle ground that I think gets, those two sides together. But I had one executive when I was kind of, going through my paces, and I reached out to somebody who knew Adam Peters really well. And I said, what do you think of this situation? And he said, I think people are going to find out a lot about Adam Peters right now because I do not like negotiating with him. He has an edge to him that people, I think, don't necessarily understand. And they're going to see that now in this negotiation. And I think they have in some respects, because Adam Peters has been pretty clear he's not going to budge.
This is really interesting. I wonder, I want to pitch it right back to you, Charles, because I have a question. But first, the Commanders are losing a lot of the momentum from last year. I mean, let's say this drags on and drags on. Terry McLaurin, you might not be up to speed till week 3, week 4, whatever.
I mean, it matters.
It's not easy to get in football shape, right? Like, this is tough. But the other thing I'm thinking is, and I want to ask you, is there a point where Washington says, okay, we got to pick up the phone and see if Terry and his camp are just stuck right here and they're not budging and we don't want to give him that? Our only recourse really is we pick up the phone and we try to make a trade. Is that even a possibility?
Okay, yeah, that's about enough. This is the Sports Junkies, and we don't do Sports Junkies propaganda over here. I just wanted to get y'all some of the comments that he made on the show about how agents. That's a compliment to Adam Peters, by the way. They're saying they don't like to negotiate with Adam Peters because Adam Peters don't play in the negotiation room. But ultimately, we got to get something done, guys. It is now August 15th. Preseason game number 2 is coming up, and we won't see the starters again till week 1. And we need guys out there. We need 17 out there. We need 85 out there in per Kliff Kingsbury. The rest of the room has to figure something out before we get to the start of the season. But guys like Ja'Cory Brooks, who had a good day in practice, got to try to make a name for himself. Washington brought in River Craycroft yesterday. Yes, that is a real person. That is not an AI-generated Madden football player name right there. River Craycroft, most famously known for mossing Benjamin St. Juste in the preseason last year. If you were watching my live watch party, I'm like, who the hell is River Craycroft and why is BSJ being beaten? Why is he getting head topped by him in a preseason game? River Craycroft is at least going to catch the football and he's going to run his routes out. So all these guys that are competing for that 6th wide receiver spot, why can't we release Chris Moore? Release him already. What are we keeping him around for? I guess you need looks, and he understands the offense and all that good stuff. But yeah, we need to see something more. We worked out a couple tackles. Cam Fleming, 32-year-old veteran. George Fant, another 33-year-old veteran. 2 tackles that could possibly fill in for the Cornelius Lucas role of swing emergency tackle, especially after the ACL tear of Lucas Niang in preseason game number 1, as we set our sights forward to preseason game number 2, which I'm going to preview on Monday afternoon because I had some shit happen yesterday and I was not able to do our stream. Sorry about that, by the way. We need to stay healthy. We cannot afford any injury going forward. I'm going to knock on wood as I'm saying this. I love to see the team fully padded practice on a Friday. I love to hear the offense is looking good. Love to hear Javon Kinlaw and Dorrance Armstrong are looking good on the defensive front side of things. Joe Witt Jr. at the podium said the effort was certainly there on Friday versus the Patriots, but the details were not. And we haven't seen what this unit's going to look like in game situation yet because nobody played in the first preseason game. Well, one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL are coming to town on Monday night. So we're going to get a little closer taste of what the regular season defense could look like. And I think our defensive line is not going to be a problem. I think our pass rush is going to be considerably better than fans think. And there was a reason why they did not feel hard pressed on drafting an edge rusher. But I want to go into some of the comments Joe Witt made about Jeremy Reeves and some things on the defensive side of the ball after a word from today's sponsor. I've been looking to find the best deal on Washington Commanders tickets for the 2025 season, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. The NFL is right around the corner, and MLB is in full swing. I love using SeatGeek. Recently used it, lock in my training camp tickets. Most notably, I was at the Grand National Tour with my son, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA at Northwest Stadium. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I had to come through for y'all using promo code RIO for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code RIO. RIO. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you again, SeatGeek, for sponsoring this video. Also, before we get to the defensive side of the ball, we can go every episode ever on this channel talking about the ability and the mental aspect and mental advantages we have now that Jaden Daniels is our quarterback. When asked about how Jaden has taken a more of a leadership role in year 2 and how it's going as far as how he's directing and orchestrating the offense, Kliff gave some very high praise for the quarterback. He said, I wish I could take credit for the way that Jaden recalls plays in the system, but that's God-given. We go out to walkthroughs and I'll screw up a play and he'll nail it. He's a lot more cerebral on that stuff than I am. I think he just has one of those photographic memories like Cam Jansen. The first time we install it, the first time we say it, he could tell you where everybody's going, what they're doing, their job, and that is a God-given thing. That is not a coaching thing. You can't make up these type of intangibles. It's like the thing with Jalen Hurts, how they say he's just a leader and he's a winner and all that stuff. Some guys have the God-given ability to lead, to show, to lead by example, not necessarily having to be a rah-rah guy. For all of those outside of Washington that are manifesting a sophomore slump, a dip or a regression in play for Jaden Daniels in year 2, it's because they don't have the answers to the test like we do. They don't understand that Jaden is in the building at 4 a.m. every day. They don't understand the amount of detail, how detail-oriented our quarterback is. This is not your typical 24-year-old quarterback. He's a workaholic, and a lot of the things you heard about guys like young Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and the machine that was Peyton Manning, you hear a lot of that about Jaden Daniels. So keep wishing on the decline. It's not happening. So let that shit go and get that hate out your heart because our boy isn't going anywhere. But Joe Witt Jr., we've all been talking about how they've been talking. We've heard them hype up players before, and it hasn't been a thing. But Joe Witt has talked about Jeremy Reaves earlier in the offseason, middle of the offseason, and now we've seen in the preseason game, and we've seen it at the podium again. He's always around the ball. His physicality is unmatched, and he has become the primary third safety. Remember early on in preseason when we thought Tyler Owens was going to be that third safety getting guys off the field at some point? It's Jeremy Reaves. It is All-Pro Revo, Washington special teams ace. He's been our version of Matthew Slater over the years, but they can't keep him off the football field. The violence that Joe Witt wants to see our defense play with, Jeremy Reaves bleeds it, sweats it, and he treats every player on the football field like they were the direct reason that he went undrafted or that there were sleepless nights while he was trying to crack 53s early on in his career. Even his teammates aren't safe on the field. Jeremy Reaves will put one of his teammates on the cart because that's how fast, physical, and violent he plays football on a football field. But What do y'all feel about Revo getting some spin in 2025? Because it feels like we're going to see a lot of Jeremy Reeves on the football field, man. I'm excited to see the defense more than I am the offense on Monday night versus the Bengals, because ultimately, with Jaden, with 5 on the field, I have the utmost confidence, even with some early growing pains in this camp. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense is struggling at camp right now, too. The fucking Cleveland Browns was giving them work at joint practice. This shit doesn't matter. The summer means more for teams like that than they do for the teams that are actually in contention. So I want fans to calmate, to relax, and to let them put this thing together. A guy like Javon Kinlaw, I have very high expectations and hopes for that guy. Adam Peters still sees the guy they drafted in the first round in San Francisco in him, and at 27 years old, he still has the best football in his career in front of him, let's hope. Look at this massive mammoth mountain of a man. He has had a very good camp. He looks good. He looks healthy, and I think we're going to get, at minimum, Jonathan Allen production out of him. I think we're going to get more. I think we're going to get a disruptor and a very versatile piece that can slide up and down that defensive line. I think the defense has got to have to be anchored up front by Daron Payne, Kinlaw, and Newton. Newton rotating in. Newton don't got to be listed as a starter. It could be Kinlaw and Payne, but Newton is going to play starter type minutes. So that 3-headed monster up front in Washington is going to have to anchor this defense. I think Dorrance Armstrong, who like Kinlaw is making $15 million a year and was our prize early free agent acquisition of the inaugural Adam Peters season here, those guys are very important. And I think they believe in Dorrance Armstrong a lot more than the fan base does. I think that's our 10-sack guy going into the season. But as we go into preseason game number 2, I've got the starting defense circle. That is who I'll be paying attention to. Obviously, I want to see Jaden throw the ball to Deebo Samuel in a game setting. I want to see Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt back out there, and I would like to see him get some burn with the starters. Also, Kliff spoke up about Brian Robinson. He said the joint practices versus the Patriots was probably the best he's seen of B-Rob since he's been here at practice. So all good signs. I think Ben Standick was fucking very off base and out of touch with that presumptuous statement that he doesn't see Brian Robinson on the final roster. Good thing to see Bill out there at practice today. Jalen Lane is flashing at practice. We need to see some more of him. But I'm going to do a full preview of the Washington-Cincinnati Bengals preseason game on Monday. We're going to try to lock in the guest. Again, if we can't get the guest from before, we're going to bring somebody else on because we're back in our guest bag on the channel. But that's all I got for y'all for right now. The offensive and defensive coordinators were at the podium today. Jaden in the offense was cooking. Jaden to Ertz, Jaden to Deebo, Jaden to Ja'Cory Brooks, Jaden to Jalen Lane, Jaden to everybody, Jaden versus the world. Offense had a good day, fully padded practice. I think this was the most competitive week of practice we've had all summer, and that's good as they ramp up toward the final stretch before the regular season starts. I'm disappointed that we can't do the joint practice with a team like the Baltimore Ravens because I think we needed that bump, but the burgundy and gold scrimmage, it did what it needed to do. We've been in pads more than we've been in, and next week is going to be a very dry week of preseason because it's a short week, and I understand why they canceled the joint practice. They're coming off a Monday night football game, probably a rest day on Tuesday. It was going to be a joint practice on Wednesday, and then there was going to be another preseason game on Saturday. Short weeks are hard during the regular season. You choose your hard, and I don't think you're going to choose your hard during the preseason. So I get it. I wanted to see it. I wanted Lamar and company coming to town, but we're going to have to wait until the regular season to get some more smoke after Monday nights. I'm going to call Monday night the preseason finale because the one on Saturday versus the Ravens, that's going to be your roster bubble roulette game where all the guys that are trying to get on the practice squad and crack those final couple spots on the roster are going to have to show up. But that's all I got for right now. Please like, comment, and subscribe on all the content. It helps push this channel out to a wider audience, driving engagement. And let's get this channel up to 20,000 subscribers. We are almost there. We're at about 350 subscribers away. We've been at this for over 4 years now. So getting to 20,000 subscribers is such an amazing accomplishment. We're almost there. We're not there quite yet, but tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to the Rio Robinson, Ramblin' Rio, whatever you want to call it, YouTube channel. And also, one last reminder, we're getting very close to the date. We are 9 days away from the first ever Commanders Kings live podcast event. August 24th, Crystal City Sports Pub. Me, yours truly, Louis T. Network, Rico from Street Scores ATL, and the real Ed Oliver, not the Bills Ed Oliver, will be at Crystal City Sports Pub. 5 p.m. is when doors open. Get there early for parking. And 5:45 is when the show will start. We will be doing a full 53-man roster projection in a game-by-game season and record prediction preview for the year, and you can come be a part of the show. I don't drink. I'll turn up with y'all that day. $45 are the tickets. There are less than 25 tickets available for this show. And don't worry, even if you cannot attend the show, on the same link that I will provide in the description below, in the comments, you can donate to the show. There's a wild card tier where you can donate any amount of money to the event. There's a gold tier, a silver tier, and a bronze tier. You can donate toward the event even if you're not purchasing a ticket to it. We are a 4-man team. Come support the guys in our inaugural event, because if this is a good as I think it's going to be event, we can make this a monthly thing. And we can have some watch parties during the season, and we can eventually take this show on the road like the Beatles. Get your ticket to the Commanders Kings Live, and make sure you're subbed up to all these guys if you're not already. That is all I got for right now. That's the third time I've said that, but we're going to officially get the fuck up out of here on this Friday afternoon because I got things to do and I got my kids to see. Y'all have a blessed Friday afternoon. Unless more information comes out that I need to pop my head up to talk about, I will see y'all tomorrow. Talk soon. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Until next time, Commander Rio is